Welcome back, ghouls and goblins. I hope you're having a magical day, and thank you for taking the time to support the channel. My name is Hello Good Game, and you may recognize me from Magic the Gathering Arena videos. Taking some time to talk about GameStop today. If you're a member of the community, outstanding. You know that I've been obsessed with this stock for years, literally like the last 5 years since 2020, and been documenting that journey within my Discord. But we're going to take a leap in today and maybe start our video journey here. So for the last couple years, we've been playing earnings cycles, right, based off the IV. Where the earnings happen, IV crushes, then we get an earnings run up, and then IV crushes, and earnings run up, IV crushes, etc. And this is just going on forever, for years and years and years, right? So you can see the past posts here. I don't know if you care to go through them, but we've been doing this for a long time. Walking individuals, through the option plays, when they buy, when they sell, what strike to target, the expiry date, etc. For so long, even longer than this chat goes on, because it was originally in my main chat, but then I moved it here, right? So this is, a good example, and of how long we've been doing this was from the second month this year. So like the months ago, and then it just goes on forever and ever and ever, right? Or we're just still referencing it. And before this, this was in December. This was last year. My mom wrote this. Oh no. This has been going on a long time, right? So basically just playing this earnings cycle and teaching everyone within my gaming community how to do so. Now I just want to open that up to all of YouTube, right? So selling covered calls, and then buying long calls, selling covered calls, buying long calls, just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. That's the name of the game. And like I said, just each earnings cycle, 90 days, waiting for that IV, get nice and low, right? 47. Let's try to find last time I told people to load up. It's just so much, right? But anyways, it's time to load up again, I guess, is what I'm meaning to say. And I did a little bit of a write-up for everyone. And this is why I've got the Discord up, so I can actually just use this as a script and kind of talk to you all about it as we go, right? So for those of you who don't know, GameStop's the meme that's, squeezed however long ago, and then kind of died down, and it's just been like super volatile the whole way, right? Like massive spikes and huge dumps, massive spike, huge dump. Trading above the 200 for the first bit of the squeeze, and then below the 200 on the 1 day, really just dying down, right? Dying down into nothing, right? Roaring Kitty, I'm sure you're all familiar, kind of orchestrated the original squeeze with his due diligence and YouTube lives, Reddit posts, etc. Then all the apes come out, right? And then Kitty returns, right? Keith returns with a post. We squeeze again. But this time, first, originally GameStop did share offerings here, right? So they made a bunch of cash, and then they used that cash to, clear the debt of the company, restructure, unprofitable aspects of it, right? Which, we're kind of now seeing the fruition of. So originally, just some offerings, stock offerings at the money, right? Not great. And then we get here where we do a note offering, right? Now, this is similar to what MicroStrategy has done, where they do a note offering, which is selling shares in the future. I think it's 2032, right? At 0%, which is crazy. Really good terms, and it's selling to a premium of the current stock price, right? That's what the deal was. So they raised like $2 billion cash or something, and the stock price declines because of that, right? And this coincides with the earnings, right? Where we get that. It was actually right here. So we have that bond offering hit, and then the price tanks, right, for a couple days. And then we have a constant improvement, right, from, this low all the way up to the last high. So earnings used to be something where we would wait post earnings for a low, right? Because if you bought your contracts here on that earning dip, then you're just burning theta and losing money, right? We used to wait and try to time it right before earnings, right, and go. But now we have the massive dump on earnings with the note offering, which happened once the day after earnings, but now has happened a second time the day after earnings. So we can only assume that it's going to happen a third time the day after earnings. So what we had was a massive down and then a continual run up, literally until the next earnings date, or the Bitcoin announcement hype. So we have the notes, and they say they're going to put this funds towards a Bitcoin treasury, right? Then they announce here that they've made the purchase, right? They bought some Bitcoin, right? The price was pre-baking in a 1.6 billion purchase, but it was only a $100 million purchase. So we do see a retracement there because it was, I think, expecting a little bit more than it was, but it's whatever, be safe, who cares? And then here, we have the bond offering again, just killing the price, or not bonds, notes, sorry, and I believe we can repeat this process again and again and again, right? So we're going to load in with some calls that are longer dated. So we have the theta and also really close or in the money. So we have that delta protection, right? And exposure to a long-term move. So with that being said, to recap all that, right? So we had massive dump post earnings. They did another note offering, raising $2 billion, which brings them to like $8 billion, and the company's worth less than 10, right? So we see our market cap here, 9.9 right now, which is not a lot considering they've got now 8-some billion in liquid assets. Our last run, if you didn't scale out at 38.5, don't worry, we're going to go back to 40 soon, I think, before the next earnings cycle, 90 days and maybe even higher. They're pricing the notes today, which is now over. So we should see the short-term arbitrage kind of dissipate, right? Like the bondholders or buyers are going to short the stock because when the pricing happens, they want that price of the underlying asset to be as low as possible, right? So maybe tonight or tomorrow we'll get information on the pricing and to see what they're going to be buying these notes at. I would assume would be $29 and higher. Last time it was $29, which is a premium to the current price, which is what makes a buy right now so enticing, right? So this is the lowest GameStop's ever going to be again, right here. I'm calling it. I'm confident on that as well. I've no doubt. So perfect buying opportunity here as we repeat this process, right? So it's like a feedback loop or a flywheel. And so our last run, our options did 60 to 500% depending on the strikes and expiry. The stock did 40% from our 27 ads, which was on the reversal signal. We go back here on the 1 day. We have this reversal signal on the 1 day where the 21 is crossing the 50, right? So there's our ads, and we actually got 57%. Oh no, that's the last run. Here's this run. Again, same reversal signal. The 21 crossing the 50, and 38, 40% run here on that one. And the last one, 57. The time before that, 550. But that time was a little bit special because Roaring Kitty came back, and he really drives a lot of volume with his presence. So we're going to be waiting again for that reversal signal to take a little bit of a shorter term approach with the expiry dates being closer, right? Fewer days till expiry. Whereas right now we're loading in on the longer term calls, just taking advantage of that dip. So just this is what we did last time, just to show you guys. And then we're going to kind of talk about the feedback loop that's here. So just previously we had 6.4 billion and 500 million Bitcoin, right? And then we did another offering here today for another 1.75 and a potential 250 more, which is going to bring us to 8.6 and potentially almost 9, which is crazy, again, considering our market cap right now is 9.9. So you're basically just buying the treasury without a premium, which is really cool. So market cap 10 billion, liquid assets, 8.5, could be closer to 9 if they take that additional 250. 1.16, it's native asset value. So you're mostly paying for potential upside, not current value, which is great. Minimal premium paid, you're just 16% over book value. That's really, really good considering the potential that GameStop has. With more on that in a little bit. So the notes have 0% interest, which is great. That's good till 2032, which is really cool, right? Nice balance sheet, doesn't have any debt, right? And it's got all that liquidity ready to deploy. Use funds to buy more Bitcoin, which I think they will. They could also, be doing mergers and acquisitions fairly freely without any, negative consequences from borrowing from a bank with an interest rate, right? And then kind of here's the mechanism if you're not super understanding, and this is the same thing that MicroStrategy has done in the past, where we're going to raise capital, we're going to buy Bitcoin, we're going to strengthen our balance sheet, we're going to re-rate the stock appropriately, and then we are going to raise more capital, and then we're going to repeat this process where we buy more Bitcoin, we strengthen our balance sheet, we re-rate the stock, and go on and on, my friends. So, we've just raised capital, we're ready to buy more Bitcoin, right? Which is great, and this will continue. So this is nice because you get exposure to the continuation of that Bitcoin flywheel. You can see them potentially expanding into crypto-based products. This is pretty tinfoily, but with the PSA, potentially, right? We've seen them have that GameStop wallet in the past for their NFTs, whatever that was worth. Kind of a letdown. But I think it's the tech that's important there, and then if they can apply that to their legacy business model, the trading cards, it could be good. So we'll see. But I'd rather just merger and acquisition. Like what if GameStop bought Newegg, for example? I don't know if that's a good idea. They probably have a ton of debt, and that's probably a terrible idea. But something like this, it wouldn't take much to diversify that business model. And then we are also liking the fact that we have squeeze potential, right? We know that GameStop is super volatile. We know that if Roaring Kitty ever comes back, we're going to get an absolute banger. So it's going to give you exposure to that as well, which typically you don't want because meme stocks are going to die and you're risking so much. But currently, the risk reward is so optimal that it's all upside, right? It's very nice risk reward from here. So the downside is very little, and it has a lot of upside opportunity, right? So again, here's a recap of the flywheel where they're raising capital, right, through the note offering, and then they buy Bitcoin, right? Then they strengthen their balance sheet. The stock re-rates higher, which was our run to 38. Then they repeat the process with another note offering, right? And then we're going to buy some more Bitcoin. Around and around we go. They've done the offering now one day after earnings twice. So we can only assume that that continues. All right, so starting to load up some longer term options. January 2027, 65 calls. Really nice for that volatility, right? If we get a big spike, these are going to print really nicely. The 2027 gives us a long runway, right? So the theta decay is not bad. We'll be okay, right? These are just going to basically sit at $3 until GameStop spikes, and then they'll be worth 7 again. Running up to 7.5 during those earnings, right? We can see it up here, 7, dies down, back up to 7, dies down, right? So they're really long. There's 2 years on these, plenty of time. Then some January 2026 20s. These are much more expensive, but quite a bit safer, right? Because you don't really need the stock to go up to 30 to 40 to make those gains. You're going to be making them right away as soon as we're at 22, 23, 24, right? really expensive, but you're getting access to basically 100 shares for $700 instead of $2,400, right? Um, so that's really nice leverage, right? On a low amount of funds if you don't have a ton to throw at it. And then finally, some October 2025's 20s. They're going to trade at $10, and I think they're at 6 right now. So they're pretty expensive because they're in the money, right? And there's a bit of time. But because of the recent dip, the minus 25%, it gives us access to these, which we typically wouldn't. So they're going to have really nice delta exposure as we continue. And it's just going to be something that we're not going to be able to afford or want to afford when we're trading back at 30, right? So September earnings are on the 3rd. Of course, that date's subject to change once GameStop announce it, but it's within a week or whatever, pretty close. And, if you did get hurt by this recent drop, this is why we scale up profits. It's something we preach over and over and over again, specifically with our option contracts. You don't want to let those ride. You want to be, 80% profits out, and then, let a little bit go of house money, right? And if it squeezes, great. If it doesn't, you protected yourself, and you get to play again next cycle and compound those gains, right? So, just kind of like a little explanation of that, right? So here's our earnings run up. Here's the note offering. Here's literally an entire cycle of up, right? GameStop just crushes it the entire time. And then here's our Bitcoin announcement, right? Which was a little bit less than we had anticipated. 500 million instead of the full 1.6 billion. We get that drawback because of this. And then we get the second note offering now, which just like before decimates the price, but what it provides is a massive opportunity to buy at these lower levels, which we are not going to see again because the native asset value, remember this, right? So 1 2 3 4 5 LOL, right? And then it's not just 5, it's going to be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. You know what I mean? Like this will continue, and that's a lot of fun. So not only do we play the earnings cycle with the IV, which will continue to do so, but we can now add an additional layer to that for the, the flywheel, if you will. So that's what I've got going on for GameStop for you all today. We can get a little bit more into the technical analysis as we go, right? If you're interested in that, kind of teach you how I do it. And, it's not much, and it's just been something that I've spent the last 5 years doing literally every day. So, maybe it's about time I start to share some of that with all of you, and maybe you can learn a little bit extra as well. So, would you look at this? Look at these green earnings. And the way we close this out was pretty funny too, right? So I wonder what happens next. Is it the start of a new 80-day run-up to new highs? Maybe. Are they going to have the sale of the Canadian GameStop on that? Yeah, probably. Plus the shedding of all the debt that includes as well. Then the Switch 2 is going to be on that as well. And also any revenue from the interest in Bitcoin, which is subject to, I would say, appreciate in value as we continue in through time. That's what happens, right? So you can lead a viewer to pancakes, but you can't make them eat. I've been sharing this Prince pancake meme forever, right? Just 200%, 250%, just oh no, that's not percentage. What is this? 30, 60, 96, 81, really nice gains there. Over and over again, right? These are some SPY contracts I'm playing. Don't play SPY options with me. Those are just for fun. Here's some nice GameStop, 31%, 40%. Some nice gains here as well. And we also do a little bit of the covered calls. Don't judge me, but if we spike above Gamma Max, by like 25%, I like to sell a cover call. I can show you how to do that really quick. or not Gamma Max, just Max Pain. Then you don't have to get extra data. So we're 23% below. So this is a perfect time to be going long, to be buying calls for GameStop. And when we're trading 25% above Max Pain, that's a perfect time to be selling those long calls, to be selling covered calls as well, right? Maybe even be scaling out some shares. I know that's not a popular opinion, but that's how you can compound these movements, because it is a very volatile stock. And yes, it's going to have price improvement over the years, and you'll do well that way just holding. But why not increase the size of your stack while you do that waiting? That's my motto, right? So that's been a lot of rambling here. Thank you for watching. I hope this helped as a little bit of an introduction to myself, and maybe we can do more GameStop videos as we progress. I'm also doing daily trading recaps for my day trades. I want to keep them separate. And then I also have a longer-term investment portfolio that we can manage and track, which I just started seeing some nice gains on that already as well, which is pretty cool. So, kind of doing it all. I'm here for GameStop, but while you're here for GameStop watching it trade sideways most days, it's good to keep busy. It's good to refine your skill set, and you do need something to trade in order to do that, right? And you can't always be trading GameStop the way you'd like to. There's just not enough volume day to day. The volume comes in spurts, and when it does hit, it's really aggressive, right? So it's more of a swing trade, right? GameStop's my swing trade. We have the long-term investment portfolio, which we're always kind of actively managing, and then our day trades, which is subject to news and relative volume, and then that news is what drives the relative volume, of course, right? So that's it. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel, but most importantly, kick back, relax, and enjoy your day.